Resin printing is pretty awesome, right? Like the ability to turn goo into highly detailed, sometimes even functional models. It's like science fiction magic. But resin is resin, and resin is a bitch.
Language warning. Themes of extreme frustration and despair ahead. You've been warned.
Reason number 1, people burn out on resin printing. User error. So it doesn't matter if you're rocking the budget basement Temu printer or you've got that top shelf Primo brand, you are an error-prone meatbag who fucks everything up at least once in a 6-side. And maybe you tried moving your printer, but you forgot there was resin in there, and now that filthy shit is just absolutely dripping and oozing into every crack and pore of your machine, and all over the floor and the countertop, and there goes the rest of your day, as well as many, many rolls of paper towels, loads of alcohol and gloves, and cursing, as you now gotta open that thing all the way up and thoroughly clean it all out, and who knows if it'll even work again when you're finished. Or maybe you accidentally knock a bottle of resin over without the lid on, or you pour it where you weren't meaning to because you got distracted.
This is why I hate resin printing. Christ. I always make stupid mistakes.
Perhaps you just wanted a little more light and cracked a window without fully thinking that through.
Oh, this is stupid. I thought I'd open the window and like get some like nice background behind this printer. I just fucking cured the resin into that in the sunlight.
Resin is a bitch. And even if you have the best process in the world, there are just so many ways that you can misstep and get it where you don't want it, that you'll begin to question your life choices and if this was even all worth it to begin with.
Fuck.
Reason number 2, post-processing. So everything goes perfectly, you've got that finished print on the build plate that's looking flawless, but now you've got to safety up, get on your PPE, and enter the lion's den, because it is time to get your hands dirty. First things first, you gotta knock those prints free, which, hey, a lot of times this goes really smoothly, but sometimes it's also a chaotic fucking nightmare. Maybe you're trying out a new resin and your burn-in time isn't dialed in yet, so your prints are just absolutely fucking welded to the build plate, and you have to hack away at them like a butcher, sending little chunks of wet, toxic debris absolutely everywhere that you then gotta go track down and neutralize, like some kind of bloody crime scene forensic inspector. Sometimes it's just a super brittle resin that even if you do have the burn-in perfect, completely falls apart the moment you start prying on it. Seriously, who's even using these fast resins anyway? Why did manufacturers think these were a good idea? And now you gotta wash and cure those prints, and God help you if you don't have a dedicated setup for that. Sure, the first few times you manually swish your models around in a tub of alcohol, it doesn't seem all that bad, but pretty soon you will start wishing you had a machine to do this for you, as you splash filthy, resin-laced alcohol up onto your wrist for the 15th time this week that immediately then runs down inside your glove, so now you gotta drop what you're doing, bin the gloves, run to your nearest sink, and get scrubbing, because unless you want to develop horrible, irreversible allergies to resin printing, you're gonna want to be quick about that. But even with a wash station, things aren't perfect, right? Like, these machines often don't have a way to hang and drain the basket after you finish a wash cycle, so you either gotta hold it there and shake it off and wait for it to drip dry, or you just say fuck this and let that basket drip everywhere, which you can now either try cleaning up every single time, or you can just make a mental note, and maybe an actual note, that this area is now a toxic hellscape that will eat your face, and so don't touch anything here without proper PPE. Please and thank you. Speaking of these baskets, the mesh is never tightly woven enough that small parts like your Space Marine heads aren't falling through those gaps, which means you gotta go fishing around your wash container with a glove on, or you gotta drain and filter it, which is probably the smarter move, but a lot more effort. And yeah, just good luck to you either way, because if you can come out the other side of that experience not pissed off, you've more resolve than I. Best practice ends up being just keeping the supports on while you wash, but this obviously introduces a lot more contaminant into your cleaning fluid, reducing its usefulness a lot quicker and increasing your costs over time. You can mitigate this somewhat and improve your life a little bit by adding a second washing machine for that lovely 2-stage washing process, but now you got twice as much toxic waste and drippy bullshit to manage. You can't win here. Number 3, supports. Nothing stops your hobby goals and aspirations in its tracks quite like shitty supports, because when it comes to resin printing, almost whatever you want to print will need these support structures to ensure that it prints completely and accurately. Supports singularly have more impact on how a print turns out than just about anything else. Like, if your goals are to minimize the post-processing and preserve the amount of detail, then get it right in the supports. If it's to minimize deformation and warping, again, you get it right in the supports. These things are by far and away the biggest variable impacting the quality and experience of your time resin 3D printing, and by a large margin. Supports are just that important. So when that epic dragon model you just bought came with absolute garbage supports and half the details are missing after you try printing it, or maybe the supports are just bloody welded on there and you can't get them off, it can really be an utterly defeating experience that makes you want to just throw in the towel, put the printer on eBay, and head over to the store instead to grab a model that's already good to go. We do have the Mini Raider project now, thankfully, which can help you find better supported models, and more importantly, I think helps incentivize model creators to care more about delivering high quality supports. But unless you're willing to put the time and effort in to learn how to manually support these things yourself properly, or you're willing to put up with the trade-offs of automatic supports, which are getting quite good now depending on what your goals are, then yeah, watch out, because shitty supports might just be the thing that puts you off 3D printing in the end. Okay, now reason number 4 that resin 3D printer enthusiasts burn out. This one I gotta say has been just too real for me this last year or so. And that is overexposure. And I don't mean overexposing your prints, I'm talking about making your whole life revolve around 3D printing, to the point that you are completely consumed by it. It's all you think about, it's all you do day in and day out. All the content you consume is about it. Your whole personality now is 3D printer. Now, this might not be something that affects everyone, but I do suspect there are a lot of you out there like myself who get drawn toward this technology and then just become completely captured by it because it is so damn cool what it can do.
And yeah, if you're not careful, this will completely burn you out. You've really got to tend to your other hobbies and interests. It's all about balance, I think. And if you can't do that, if you get hyper-focused on resin 3D printing, I think there's a good chance there is a day on the horizon for you where you say, fuck this, I need to do literally anything else other than resin 3D print something right now. And for me personally, across the years, this one has got me a few times. And most recently, for any viewers of the channel who've been wondering where I've been, it's a combination of this and just burnout on YouTube in general. I mean, you've heard this from a dozen creators before. It's a thing that happens. The YouTube grind is real. It takes its toll. And so I've just taken some time to reset and focus on some other things, like my car and touching grass. So hey, quick shout out to everyone who supports this channel on Patreon and Buy Me a Coffee and through YouTube. Without you guys, I could not take that time to reset. And I think I'd be a wreck right now if I was trying to just keep up with the demands of this platform. It's an immense privilege to do this, and I'm so grateful. And real quick, before we get to my 5th and final reason resin 3D printer folks burn out, allow me to please quickly say thank you to all the fine artists in our community who support this channel with miniatures donations each and every month. Arcane Whiskers, Artificers Mini, C Cohort, Daka Store, Fabricator's Lair, Goetia Miniatures, Imp 3D Sion, Layer Safe, Lucas with a C, Scoutsurfer Studio, Tiger Minis, and Warscape. There's links for all these creative fuckers down in the video description. Go check them all out, go give them a follow, they all make incredible stuff. And it looks like we've got a few campaigns coming up as well. Steel Union, Faith-Fueled Warriors of World War I, holy shit, from Daka Store. Grim Dark Holy Warriors, mixing trench warfare, revolution, and divine fury. STL and physical miniatures. Wow. This one's launching soon on Kickstarter, so make sure you follow this one. And live right now is the Xenosector Scraps Camp by none other than Fabricator's Lair. Fabricator's Lair is prolific with his insanely high detailed, functional and thematic kits of tabletop terrain. They're always incredible. This one's got less than half a month on it, so make sure you come get this at a good price now while you can. Next up, it's Lucas with a C, and he's back with another addition to the Weeping Stars universe, this time with the March of the Undying. And I gotta say, I think these might be my favorite Lucas with a C sculpts I've seen yet. Like, there's some really cool stuff in here, and I think this is gonna look great on your tabletop. So come support Lucas with a C and the March of the Undying campaign right now on Kickstarter. And finally, of oil and Iron by Scoutsurfer Studio. We got a whole diesel punk tabletop wargame where towering rigs piloted by elite ironclads battle for dominance. Who doesn't love mechs? And what better way to sate your love of mechs than with a full-on tabletop wargame complete with illustrated rulebook, cards and tokens, and of course, lots of cool, spicy mech models. This one's going live on Kickstarter soon, so make sure you come follow this one as well.
Reason number 5. So resin is a bitch, yes, but sometimes also life is just a bitch in general. And that new printer you bought has horrendous quality control issues, so now you gotta figure out why your printer isn't working. Worse yet, if it's your first printer and you have zero experience resin printing, then you may not even realize that your printer has quality control issues. You might just be thinking it's a skill issue when all your prints are failing, when in reality, it's the printer that's got major problems. Uneven build plates, wobbly Z-screws, faulty light sources, shitty stepper motors, crappy firmware. There's a whole bunch of reasons you could be having a horrible time with your resin 3D printer. That's all thanks to the race to the bottom for quality in the resin 3D printer space. You could also have even got a bad bottle of resin. That happens. And how frustrating when your perfectly tuned print profile is no longer working as you expected, upending your entire workflow. This stuff is all out of our control, and I don't know what else to call it other than random chaos. But it happens to everyone. It fucking sucks. So, resin 3D printing, as I said at the top of this video, is very cool. It's amazing what we can do with it, but it's not without its issues. I think the more innovations we get that distance us from ever having to handle the liquid resin ourselves, that's probably ultimately going to be for the better. But until then, we're stuck with all the risks and nuisance of handling this toxic bullshit ourselves. A couple of honorable mentions here for stuff that might make you burn out that didn't make my top 5. Resin traps and other issues with the models. Like if the model's not been, properly prepared for resin 3D printing. This kind of ties a lot in with supports. Maybe I could have mentioned it there, but whatever. You know if you've dealt with it. Like, is there anything worse than finding out that a model you printed a year ago has exploded on the shelf overnight, leaking uncured resin all over your furniture and other prized models that you likely spent a lot of time building and painting? Ah, man. Another thing I think could burn you out would be like chasing the new printers that come out every single year. Like, it's fucking relentless. It's just as someone who like gets emailed and companies want their 3D printers on this channel, so they want to send me them, and I can't help it. I say yes to a lot of them. It can be overwhelming sometimes. It's like there's just how are there so many of these things every year? And if you're the kind of person who like has to buy the latest and greatest, I could see that probably being something that burns you out. And then there's maintenance as well. Like maintenance with resin 3D printers kind of sucks, especially if you have to do a FEP change. Hang on, let me get it. This thing here, the Hooplat, this has been my new favorite thing in resin 3D printing. If you have a resin 3D printer that is compatible, like if this company Chitubox sells one of these that's compatible with your printer, just buy it. Like, this is such a good upgrade. Someone did comment that the paint they use on here does, at least for them, was coming up with the resin that they used. So that's not great. But I think it's worth the risk, because even if that does happen, then you can just go in here and just put an hour's work into this and just paint strip it, and then you not have that issue. Because this is such a cool upgrade. I love how easy this makes doing FEP changes, because FEP changes are bloody horrible. I hate doing it. Right. Thanks for watching this video. Comment down below what if you've ever been burnt out by resin 3D printing. Why? Why did that happen? And what advice do you have for your fellow 3D printer nerds? All right. Cheers.